Every day, students trek to school in the hopes of being the world's next leaders, only to be torn down by bad teachers.
Welcome, Apples and Chalk viewers. I'm Dana Harrison, and today we are going to give you 5 ways to build the teacher-student relationship. Before we dive into those, we simply ask the question, what are benefits of having a great rapport between teachers and students? Number 1, greater levels of student motivation and student engagement. Oftentimes, when students really have a good relationship with their teacher, they are more inclined to please the teacher. In other words, they don't want to let their teacher down or cause them to feel disappointed. With that being said, they do their best to pay attention during instruction and carry out any of those assignments that you give to those students. Number 2, a well-managed classroom. Teachers loving their students often leads students to conform to the classroom norms. It's going to lead us to our number 3, more instructional time for the teacher. When you spend less time correcting students because they love you, they don't want to let you down, and they conform to the classroom norms, then you, the teacher, have more instructional time and really more time to really enjoy that class and grow their knowledge. Recently, Apples and Chalk did a survey. We asked about 100 adults the question, which do you remember most? How your teacher treated you or what your teacher taught you? About 75% of those adults noted that they firmly remember how their teachers treated them over the content that was provided to them as students. Now, if you're on the 25% side where you do believe that you remember more of what your teacher taught you, we can honestly say that no matter what, the teacher-student relationship impacts or influences the student beyond their years inside of that teacher's classroom. Since we know that, let's take a look at how we can build more rapport amongst teachers and students. To do so, you, the teacher, are going to get your facts right. That's right, your FACKS. Get all of your facts straight. So what does this stand for? Forgive, avoid belittlement, consistency, know your students, and lastly, share yourself. Let's dive into each of these so that we can build better teacher-student relationships. Number 1, forgive. This one, in my opinion, is the most important one. As teachers, we have to learn to not take things personally. When students wrong us, disrespect us, or find ways to, let's be honest, irritate us, we have to make sure that we don't take these things personally. Honestly consider the stage they are in life. Even if you are a college professor or an adult educator, you still have to understand that most of the times people aren't out to get you. With that being said, learn to forgive, learn to let things go. One excellent practice to do is to debrief from your day and write down any incidents that you just did not like as a teacher, even those where you believe or may not believe, but it happened that students intentionally did something to irritate you. Write those things down on a paper and take that paper, ball it up, and throw it in the trash. This is your physical demonstration of truthfully letting it go. So let's say you come to work the next day, you encounter that student, and in your heart or in your mind, you still have not fully let it go. It's okay, you're human and that happens. But you have to set a time limit for your emotions and for whatever you're thinking about that student. Don't ever lose sight of the goal. The goal is to get that student to success. You can't drive that student to develop a good relationship between the two of you if you're still remembering all the things that they did wrong. Number 1, you have to forgive. Number 2, avoid belittlement. There is never any situation that necessitates you belittling your students. It doesn't matter who you are, from principal to counselor to teacher. There's never a reason to show students that you're the boss and you dictate all of the things that they do. We've learned in history that relationships with dictators often lead to somebody getting overturned and they're not successful. The goal of this is to build the teacher-student relationship. With that being said, find ways to encourage and build up your students. If you, the teacher, feel yourself getting frustrated and irritated to the point where you might compromise this rule, then step away from a situation. Find another teacher to substitute your class for 2 to 3 minutes while you compose yourself and settle down your emotions. Make sure that even when you're giving instruction, you're not speaking to the students as if they're dumb or can't quite understand or articulate what you are saying. These are all things that truthfully, if someone did them to us, we would feel disrespected. When people feel disrespected, they shut down. If you shut down, you can no longer build a student-teacher relationship. More importantly, if a student doesn't feel connected to you, they are no longer connected to the instruction that you are imparting during the class period. So again, number 2, avoid belittlement. These are people. People should be respected. We learned that we have to forgive, we have to avoid belittlement, and now we're on to number 3, which is consistency. When we look at this aspect of building the student-teacher relationship, it really is all on the teacher. So what is it to be consistent as a teacher? Always have your lessons prepared. Now let's be honest. Sometimes it's very hard to make sure all of your resources are in the absolute right place. You're well rehearsed on whatever the lesson is. You have every single piece of media tool that you need to encourage the students to receive what you're teaching. And things go wrong. Be as consistent as possible. When students enter your classroom, they should break into whatever your set schedule is. They shouldn't have to search for the warm-up activity. They shouldn't have to search for the engage. Rather, they should automatically know what tools they're going to pull out as they enter your classroom and start the day off. In addition to this, you want to make sure that when hiccups occur, when surprises happen inside of the education day, because we know that they happen quite often, don't throw the students off of their schedule. Stick to the script as much as possible. If you want to do something fun and exciting, such as a movie day, then make sure that the students expect this day. Make it something that they work towards and truthfully earn. Taking somebody off of a schedule causes them to feel uncertain. Whenever students feel uncertain or insecure, it makes you, the teacher, the person who did it, less approachable and less comfortable. With that being said, you always want students to feel approachable and comfortable. Aren't these characteristics of a great relationship? Be consistent. Consistency is key. Students can come to rely on you, depend on you, and most importantly, trust you. They trust that you have their best interests and that whatever you're teaching them is instruction that's going to propel them forward so that they are successful. So now we're on to the 4th aspect of developing a great teacher-student relationship. K. Know your students. I cannot stress enough how important it is to know your students. What should you know about your students? In addition to knowing the regular things such as learning needs that a student might have or medical accommodations that you have to make, you want to know personal things about them. Caution, make sure you don't cross any unprofessional boundaries when getting to know your students. All knowledge should be appropriate and should be expressed or worthy of being expressed to a parent. Never put a student in a situation where he or she feels uncomfortable being around you. With that being said, there are so many things to get to know about your students. Number 1, and most important, know your students' names. And not just what to say, but how to say it and how to spell it. Names are extremely important. When I get your name right, spelling, pronunciation, this lets you know that I value who you are as a person. In addition to knowing your students' names, know their birthdays. Now, it's extremely hard to remember hundreds of birthdays for all of your students, but wouldn't it be nice if you added a nice touch to your classroom being a classroom calendar? List all of the birthdays on that calendar. In addition to that, you can simply ask, are there any September birthdays inside of the classroom? And acknowledge those students by simply singing happy birthday, giving out stickers, or small tokens that they can walk with, just so that they can feel special. Hobbies and sports provide another avenue of getting to know your students. Oftentimes, teachers and students have things that they like in common. I am a cheerleader and a dancer, and most of my students dance and cheer. It provides an opportunity for us to talk about the things that we like and dislike with whatever the category is. If you have several students who are athletes, make a way to get out to one of their games. Let them see you cheering them on. Make a poster, paint your face, connect to those students, and let them see that not only am I on your team inside of the classroom, I'm also on your team when you are on the court. Another way to get to know your students is learning about their family life. I am one of 10 siblings. With that being said, I always have something to say about my siblings. And I'm sure your students have to talk about their family some time of the day. So make sure that you provide them with opportunities to share what that home life is like. Another caution here, you don't want them to exploit any personal and private information about what takes place at home. Provide them with warm-up opportunities that allow them to discuss what they did over the weekend, and again, share with you who they are. So we know that we have to forgive, avoid belittlement, be consistent, know your students, and finally, share yourself. Share who you are, the teacher. Let students know what you love and what you hate. What are your likes and dislikes? What hobbies and sports are you involved in? Find clever ways to put this inside of your lesson. For instance, if you're a math teacher working on word problems, make you the topic of conversation. These can be silly, these can be funny. At the end of the day, students connect to you a bit more because they see you in a different light. Always find ways to present yourself inside of your classroom so that your students are constantly engaging with you, even if it's just in thought and you're not necessarily making that verbal exchange. Again, you want them to make mental connections because it builds a relationship between you and your student. Thank you for tuning in to another Apples and Chalk video. I'm Dana Harrison, and we hope that you get your facts right in the classroom. That's FACKS, so that you build better teacher-student relationships. Be sure to subscribe to our channel, like our video, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and check out our website at applesandchalk.com. For more information on how you can become a better teacher, I totally recommend First Days of School by Wong and Wong. This book is awesome. If you read a page a day, it will surely get you through a successful school year. That's all for now. We hope to see you again. Students inside of your private business. I'm also on your team inside of the court. Doesn't even make sense. Does that even make sense? And that is